So raise a glass to the home viewing experience of Man on the Run. By the way, with the thumbnail real quick, yes, I did get creative with this. This is the Broad Street glass I debuted in another video a while ago. That's the glass that was given to the crew. So I figured that would be appropriate to get a little creative with the thumbnail, in case you were wondering. So, with the documentary itself, well, I'll tell you what. First things first, I've got some notes right here. A lot of them are timestamps, and with the timestamps, I've started at about the 19-minute mark all the way to the end of the documentary. These are rough timestamps. I'm only going to highlight a few things I observed with the documentary itself, with rewatching it at home, which is different than the theaters. Obviously, the theaters, I was trying to get the experience of it. The end discussion with the director was only included in the theatrical version, not the current streaming version, which is a shame, really, because it was kind of nice to see. If they decide to do a physical version of this, please do a physical version, first of all. Second of all, I think if there's a 4-hour director's cut, which there's rumored to be, then put that as a bonus. Put that on a Blu-ray, 4K, whatever it is, something physical that we can have. We will buy it. I'm telling you right now. Anybody at MPO who might be listening, I don't know. It's a long shot. Oh, and before I forget, I'm sorry I didn't notice this before in the theatrical version, but shout out to Ken Michaels Radio for providing some of the information to Paul and the team with the documentary. So with that out of the way, here we go. Again, just a couple. I've got 7 pages of notes. I'm going to put all these in the description, as I said below. So about 19 minutes and 22 seconds into the documentary, you get Chaos and Creation album cover, which is kind of cool. That was the 2005 album itself. 26 minutes, 28 seconds in, you get a nice note from Paul to Alan Klein. And again, they kind of went over a lot of the Beatles breakup stuff before and then finally getting to the Wings stuff. This is just kind of, my notes, my everything. Oh, here we go. About 28 minutes, 43 seconds into the documentary, for a good minute there, give or take. There's a play called John, Paul, George, Ringo, and Bert. Let me tell you, rewatching it again, it feels like a bad SNL skit. I mean, it's basically dramatizing the Beatles breakup right in the early 70s. Basically going over, oh, well, Paul's the one who broke up the Beatles. Now we know that things are a lot more complicated than that. It wasn't just one person. But it was so funny just seeing the actors in makeup and just kind of like, again, it's a very bad SNL skit. What can I say? I mean, it's historically funny to see. It's historically important to the Beatles canon as far as, ancillary stuff that's out there, with the sidebars and everything. But, oh, my God. Oh, I tell you, when you watch the footage, and I'm guessing you may have once you're seeing this review, maybe I could spend a whole 2 hours on that, but we haven't got that type of time. About 34 minutes, 29 seconds in, we get introduced to Denny Laine. Denny, we miss you. We really miss you. It was a little over 3 years ago at this point as I'm taping this that I got to meet him at the concert. Shout out to my, to my stepmom for that. That's a memory and an autograph and everything I'm going to treasure for the rest of my life. If you want my video on that, you can catch that in my channel elsewhere. It's just really nice to see. 36 minutes, 55 seconds in, we get Henry McCullough. Now, that same footage shows up, part of it shows up in Wingspan, right here. And Wingspan in 2001 kind of walked so this documentary could run. But this documentary, I still give an A-. It's still very much, it's still very essential and very nice to see just for the rare footage, even for us hardcore fans who already know the entire story for Paul's entire career. Again, this covering 1969 to 1981. But again, check out Wingspan. I think it's worth checking out. Just like kind of a comparison piece. I think I want to do that. And also some of that same footage that introduces Henry McCullough when they were doing the 1972 February Wings rehearsals, February 1972, shows up in the McCartney years. This 2007 DVD, highly recommended. It's all Paul's videos from basically, going from 1970 all the way up to Chaos and Creation. So this was released shortly before Memory Almost Full. But pick this one up if you can, too. So I figured that would be kind of nice. Also, as a quick side note, yes, I do have the soundtrack. That's going to be a separate review that I'm going to do. And of course, yes, I've picked up the book. That'll be a separate review as well. But the book definitely contains a heck of a lot more information than can be covered even in, a roughly 2-hour documentary. So just thought I'd go off of those as a nice little side note for everything. About 45 minutes, 45 seconds, and Denny Seiwell, who sounds a lot like Stuart Copeland, by the way. His speech patterns are very similar to Stuart Copeland's. If you know, you know. He says, oh yeah, Paul really loves that soppy stuff, but he doesn't say stuff. It's an R-rated documentary, so you can guess the S word he uses. And Paul kind of retorts back in his, currently being interviewed. Yeah, I get that. And he gets that, Let's see. 46 minutes, 52 seconds in. I have to go with this one. Nick Lowe, Cruel to Be Kind fame. Anyways, he says, Mary had a little lamb. Are you nuts? So kind of going off the same riff. Again, it wasn't seen as a very rock and roll move. Okay, Paul's always had a bit of that Broadway kind of sentimentality in with him. Just kind of scanning through, 47 minutes, 31 seconds in, Elton John 1972 interview. Kind of praising John, George, and Ringo's albums, not so much Paul's Wildlife. He says, I'd rather hear Paul than Linda sing. But again, that's Elton's interview and point of view back in 1972 there. And I didn't quite mean that to rhyme, but what can I say, But yeah, just looking through a couple others. Oh, here we go. About 1 hour, 1 hour in to 1 hour, 1 minute in. You get some nice footage of Paul and George from 1974. That's when they were signing the papers to formally dissolve the Beatles union from the whole Apple fiasco with Alan Klein as the manager. And 1 hour, 2 minutes in exactly, get a nice little clip from 1986 for the Paul McCartney Special. That was when he was doing Press to Play. I was trying to locate the videotape itself, but I couldn't quite find it in the archives. I know it's somewhere there, but with everything. And, nice little comment by Denny at about the 1 hour, 7 minute, and 41 second mark. We kind of invented Spinal Tap, meaning all the different, basically all the different stuff that they went through, all the different lineups and everything like that. We get a lot of stuff like, listening to what the man said. Venus and Mars doesn't quite get mentioned by name. Again, that's a shame that they didn't do that. Nice little clip of... At 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 40 seconds, again, I'll be posting all this in the description below with my rough captions and, comments of all the timestamps and everything. A critic, I think in Australia, is saying with Paul, oh yeah, 33, you must be past your peak. Paul says, yeah, listen to the show and see if I'm past my peak. Now he's 83 going on 84. God bless him. He can still physically go on tour. Awesome. That should be hopefully later this year. Again, we get, Wings Over America. 1 hour, 17 minute mark, we get a nice little clip of them arriving at the wrong airport, a very Spinal Tap moment. I often wonder if Spinal Tap must have seen some of these type of clips and, gotten a kick out of them. And that's every rock band that's gone past, so just kind of going through some of my notes here. Oh yeah, 1 hour, 21 minute, 52 second mark, to be exact. April 24th, 1976. Why is that date important? Well, that date is important because John and Paul were having a visit at the Dakota with Yoko and Linda there. John and Paul were watching SNL. This is the famous night where Lorne Michaels made his offer of $3,000 for the Beatles to reunite for 3 songs. Well, John and Paul almost did it, but then they were like, we're too tired, let's grab a cup of tea. They never ended up doing it, Would have been nice, but, it definitely fills in some of the story as well. There's a nice little clip at the 1 hour, 26 minute, and 50 second mark. Of Ringo visiting backstage, 1976 Wings Over America tour with Paul and Wings and everybody there. Let's see here. There's also a couple nice other little clips. 1 hour, 33 minutes, 40 seconds. Lawrence Juber gets to say his little bit, his little clip right there of joining Wings and showing him from about 1978, I'm guessing. Followed by 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 48 seconds. Steve Hawley giving some of his feedback as well. See, I wanted to go ahead and timestamp this stuff, so such a nerd for it. And it's kind of nice to be able to catch some of this stuff when you're rewatching it. And again, this is not all my notes. These are just some highlights I'm thinking of as I'm reading off the rough notes here. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Let's see. 1 hour, 34 minutes, 29 seconds. They talk about, 3 million units sitting in a warehouse. No one bought Back to the Egg as far as the English press goes. Well, look, Back to the Egg did sell 1 million copies in the United States alone. It went to number 8 on the charts. A platinum-selling album. I'm sure that Paul would love a platinum-selling album now. So I kind of pushed back a little bit against that whole narrative. Oh, London Town, Back to the Egg, not as good as Speed of Sound and Venus and Mars and everything like that. Look, it's a great album. Amazing, amazing album. We do get the 1979 tour, and most importantly, at the 1 hour, 35 minute, and 55 second mark, according to my notes, Robbie the Robot. If you know, you know. If you saw my last review, here's a little R2-D2 robot that was on stage during that 1979 tour and concerts, particularly for the Kampuchea benefit, which took place 12/29 of 1979. That's the final show. That's actually marked at the 1 hour, 36 minute, and 6 seconds timestamp, to be exact. Of course, then we go into, Japan. We go into the With a Little Luck rehearsals, kind of recapping everything. The Bust of Japan, again, kind of Paul going, oh, what the heck was I thinking? Yeah, what the heck were you thinking? And he addresses that even in Wingspan for 2001, but only he knows what he wasn't thinking. Not the best move. And, of course, at the 1 hour, 47 minute, 26 second mark, we get some nice footage from October 1980 of John being interviewed during the, Double Fantasy period. He's actually being interviewed, I think, as they're doing some final mixes. And that footage is out there online, but it's really cleaned up. It makes me wonder if the Lennon Archives is actually going to release this stuff. I hope so. I mean, it's nice that at least hopefully they're cleaning it up and preserving it somewhere, but any 1980 footage of John is amazing. And of course, just a few moments later, we get that horrible date of December 8, 1980, when John was so violently taken from us. Shortly after that, we get a nice observation by Sean saying, well, look, I look at Paul's reaction. He was unable to really process what had happened the next day, December 9th, as he heard the news. And in a way, this was the real growing up moment for Paul. And, that kind of tax, I think, that kind of really, really losing your best friend, to something so tragic and so senseless, even after all these years. We finally go into, then April 1981, Wings breaks up. There's a nice little clip near the end of the documentary at the 1 hour, 50 minute, and 42 second mark of Denny, Linda, and Paul singing, You Are My Sunshine. And of course, you might be wondering, well, wait a minute, what about that press-to-play shirt I may have mentioned in my last review when I saw the film? Well, now I've got a timestamp for it. 1 hour, 52 minutes, and 52 seconds, according to my notes. You get Paul wearing a press-to-play shirt, but upon reviewing it this second time around, the way I look at it, it looks like it could be him closer to maybe his 50th birthday, but he's kind of got the long mulleted hair, looks a little bit, tiny bit older than the Paul McCartney Special from 1986. But he's got the press-to-play shirt on. That t-shirt is on, him and Linda, sharing a nice moment together at a nice little family picnic outdoors. Again, as far as the footage, it's amazing. You get to see the Mull of Kintyre. You certainly get to see so much stuff within this documentary. And I love it has the rare footage. It really love that it has that. So I highly recommend viewing it, especially at home for those that didn't obviously get to see it in the theaters. And I hope you all enjoyed kind of that recap. Again, the longest portion of this is I'm going to be putting these timestamps, so beginning at about the 19-minute mark all the way to the end of the documentary. I may go back at some point and adjust this description with the stuff that happens before the 19-minute mark. The only reason I didn't put it down really was because a lot of it was just sort of, okay, the Beatles stuff. The Beatles stuff kind of takes maybe a good 6 or 7 minutes of the film, I feel like, maybe a little bit longer. Then you go into McCartney, the first album. No Wings members on that. You do go into Ram at about the 23-minute mark, 23 minutes, 13 seconds, at least according to my note. Denny Seiwell being interviewed. So that's at least another member of the band joining. But again, you kind of get that 34-minute, 29-second mark of Denny joining Wings, and then shortly with Henry joining Wings. So then you get the real full lineup. But again, A- for the film. I think it's really enjoyable. So I hope you will all raise a nice Broad Street glass, or whatever you have right there. Enjoy watching the documentary. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see everybody in the next clip, next video. Until later.